All right, so this morning we're going to have a look at the difference between parametric drawing and Rhino's kind of clunky version of history that doesn't always work. The comparative software we're going to look at is going to be Fusion 360, and we're going to draw this ring again and try to describe the difference in the power between the two machines. So I'm working with Hui, and I've explained to her, if you look along the draw history of this job, it's different to Rhino's history. I started with a sketch. On that sketch, I drew out a curve, and then I turned it into a component. I extruded. I did a fillet. I drew another sketch up the top here. On that sketch, I drew some circles. Some of the circles I extruded outwards. Some of the circles I extruded inwards. And then I did a polar array of the whole lot. I extruded the whole, did a polar array, then I extruded the prongs upwards and did a polar array of that, and then I did a fillet of the edges, right? And I ended up at this ring. So the power of this in a fully parametric system means I can go back to any leg of this. I can have a look at my drawing here. I can have a look at the original sketch, and I can change the size of the ring. Right? So I can go in here and I can say that I want to make this 16.4. All right. And when I hop back out, if I finish the sketch and we go back, the whole ring has been redrawn now. So the whole ring changed. Everything, every step from there re-happened, all the extrusion. So you'll see that the stones are now a lot tighter than they used to be. All right, the gap between the stones is a lot tighter. In fact, there's a bit of an offset over here. All right. So we're going to go build this in Rhino and have a look at the difference between the way the two modelers work. So in Rhino, I'm going to go with array polar for this one. I'm going to draw part, I'm going to construct part of it. So I'm going to create a circle, 0, 16.8, same as the other one.
Yes.
All right, just because it's the middle of the ring stick.
Yes.
I'm going to offset that a little bit.
Yes.
So we're doing more or less the same as I was doing in Rhino. I'm going to offset it by 1.6. Okay.
Yes.
So we did the same thing in Fusion, and at this point you have history, because if I change this circle at the moment, all right, you'll see that the offset travels with the circle.
Ah, yes.
Okay, so as I'm moving the circle, the offset's traveling. The problem is with Rhino, it can only remember so much before it breaks. So right now this is okay. When I do an extrusion, it might still be okay. I don't know. Let's have a quick look. So if I extrude that like I did in SolidWorks, let's go both sides, and let's draw that to, I don't know, 1.5 to make a total of 3 mil. All right. If I now change the curve, if I still got it, you might still be lucky. Yep, you can still change the whole ring.
Yeah.
All right, but you can't see your history of which one you changed, right?
Yeah.
Now watch what happens. I need to fillet this like I did in the other one. Now I'm going to break it. Try again. Fillet edge. And I want to make it whatever that is. I can't see the size it was. Fillet edge command broke the history. All right.
Yeah.
So where SolidWorks and Fusion 360, you can keep going and you'd see each tool that you used showing up on the bottom. And you can go backwards to that tool. I can change the extrusion component. I can change how many I did an array with. I can change all of this on the fly. Rhino can't do that. All right. If you play a little bit more carefully, so we delete this surface and you draw a profile on here, you can kind of do that, I guess. All right, so I'm going to make a square. So we're going all the way back to our first lessons.
Yes.
I'm going to draw a square, rounded. I'm going to snap it onto here, come out in this viewport, make it, I don't know, about yay big, and bring the curve in and move it over. And you do let's just move it precisely. Move from that mid to that quad. All right, and we can scale it up. Let's grab those points, move them up from that mid to that quad. All right, so we got this thing, and you can do a sweep to history.
Yes.
You can do a sweep to with that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you kind of now got the fillet, and you kind of hopefully, if you change that inside curve, you've still got the history for the offset, which means no, it didn't. Even though it didn't tell you it broke history, it broke history.
Yes.
All right.
I get it.
So that's the downside to Rhino. However, in solid modelers, doing something like this,
Yes.
yeah, did that really badly. Another try at that from you to you. Okay, making a surface like this, and then saying rebuild the surface.
Yes.
2 points. I want to go to 4 and 3. I don't know why the hell I would have had degree 4 there. Right. 5. Okay, I'm good with that. Then turning on the edit points for a surface and saying that I want to play with the surface and I want to develop it. You can't do this with a solid modeler, or not easily.
Oh,
All right.
okay.
So for things where you need organic shapes, shoes, boats, jewelry,
Okay.
where you need kind of flows like this and you need to be able to play with
Okay.
things, this you cannot do, not with any amount of history in a solid modeler. So
Okay.
solid modeler remembers extrusions, it remembers fillets, it redraws all those items on the fly. All right.
Got it.
Now we're going to go into the problem you were experiencing yesterday, and we'll show you a couple of different ways to solve a pinch shank. All right, so I'm going to very quickly, I'm going to import a gem from my desktop, so we've got something to work around. So today we've got a proper gem. Put up here, we can create a circle from 0, 16.8
Yes.
in diameter. Yep, all right. I'm going to move the stone down somewhere around there, and I'll quickly draw a bezel around it, and I'm going to put a pinch shank on that bezel. Okay. Generally, as a rule, try to never get your tip, the culé of the diamond, closer than 0.5 to the finger. All right, simply because by the time you finish casting, cleaning up, etc., that's going to become about 0.3, and the setter is going to push this in, and if he has a bit of trouble setting and he pushes the stone down a little bit, there is a chance that you end up doing that, and you put the culé through the stone. A jeweler puts it on a ring stick and breaks the stone. So just as a general design rule, try to keep your stone 0.5 from the bottom of the finger size, right? In most cases, that's way too low. Like this ring's going to look stupid if I put the stone this low. So we're going to move it up higher, about there. Like a good design, 1, 2, 3, 5, about 5 mil is good. All right. Americans like it out here, and Europe likes it as low as possible. And some of them believe that the stone has magical properties, and they actually want the stone sticking through. All right. Anyway, so for Australia, most of the world, you want to be at least 0.5 off the finger rail, and you want to be a good design size. I'm going to go in the side view here. I'm going to lock that stone for now. We don't need it. Okay, and I'm going to start drawing a bezel. Something like that. I'm putting 2 dots everywhere that I want to make a corner, so that when I bend the curve, I don't have a problem. All right. I think something like that. Alright, we're good to go. I think that's fine. I'm going to boolean this off, so I'm going to grab those and just stretch it through a little bit like that. Alright, so I'm going to revolve this. Around 0, straight upwards.
Yeah.
And I've got a bezel. Hey? Yeah. What the hell? Try that again. Roll around 0, shift up, enter and enter. Thank you. Alright, so we've drawn the bezel. Now we want to make a little pinch shank coming up to the bezel for our ring. Okay.
Yes.
And then we want to change the flow or the shape of it in a variety of different ways. All right. So there is no right or wrong way in Rhino. I'm going to take this. I'm going to actually, in fact, I'm just going to make another circle. Remember, once we build circles, rebuild them. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm going to make another circle from here. I'm going to make it, I don't know, about yay bigger than that. I'll grab both these circles. I'm going to rebuild them. Okay, 2, 8, 8 and 3.
Yeah.
Okay. Turn on the edit points for them, and for this outside circle, I want to go up a little bit. Right. So we're going to up like that. fact, then I just want that point.
Okay.
So that's going to be kind of the shape we're coming up against the ring with. All right, so now we've discussed the multiple ways to get to this. You can create a profile at the bottom, you can create a profile at the top, and you can do a sweep.
Yes.
You can create multiple profiles. You can say at the bottom I want it kind of square, then I want it getting round, and up here I want it to be at a V.
Yeah.
So for that you'd create a profile in this view. I'm just going to fake it out. I'm not going to do a real profile. You'd create a profile. Right. For the V profile, you'd maybe make something like that. F10, grab all the points, thank you. So for the V profile, you might do something like that, up along the top, and then you might make a half round over here, and you might have a full round down the bottom. Many different ways to get to it. A valid way is the way that we've tried already, and you had a bit of a problem with while you were drawing, is the shank should always go into the bezel. I'm going to edit this line a little bit while we've got history to just bring that bezel in. It doesn't look very good to me. I'll just bring it in a bit like that. Bring these points back a little bit like that, and delete some of these points we don't need. Alright, so again, like we were saying about the solid modelers, this is something you can't easily do with the solid modeler.
Okay.
Alright, solid modeler, you've got to go all the way back to the drawing. You've got to apply the drawing, go back, and it has to redraw everything. So I think that we're okay here. Alright, so I'm going to draw a line through here. Through the bezel like that. We're going to take the same line, we're going to mirror it over the other side.
Yeah.
Alright. Okay, now the other day you had a little bit of an issue understanding this. I want to work with only the lines.
Insert.
Invert. So I'm going to go
invert.
Cell curve to select the curves.
Yeah,
right?
cell curve.
So I've got them.
Yeah.
I want everything except the curves. So I'm going to invert. So select everything except the curves I've got selected and hide them. Okay, so now I only have the curves on the screen, all right, that I can work with. That one I'm going to hide too because it's in my way. All right, so now we're going to do a trim. All right, I'm going to do a trim. Get rid of this and this and this and this and this. So we kind of have a side view of what we need. Okay, I'm going to also join those items. And before I do my extrude, I want to soften these corners back a little bit. So I'm going to fillet corners. All right. Fillet corners 0.25 I think is okay. All right, so let's talk about the many ways we get to do this. I want to bring that bottom one just in a little bit. Looks a bit fat. All right. You can extrude, would be the one way, and you can do a Boolean, an inverse Boolean. So let's take this guy. Let's extrude it. In both directions. All right. Now let's draw another curve in the side view, like so. We want to come from you, we want to come out like that. And we want to basically come straight down, right? Something like this. So I'm going to take this one, mirror it over the other side, like that. Draw a line, joining it at the bottom. Join these two together. Okay. We hope it's touching up the top. It should be. Right, we're going to extrude this in the opposite direction. Oops, see what happened? I snapped. So in this view, we're going to go project to C-plane to get the curve flat again. Try that again. Project to C-plane. Delete the curve. Yes, alright, so it's flat. So now we can extrude in both directions like that. Okay, so we got the shape of a curve we want in this direction, and we got the shape of a curve in that direction. We can do a Boolean intersection with you and you. I got to do one at a time, my bad. Boolean intersection, you and you. And we end up with the shank shape more or less the way we wanted it. All right. One way to get there. What about if we wanted this to have a curvature on it? All right, so you can now go in, you can explode this item. So I no longer want this inside surface here, and I no longer want the outside surface here, and I want to put a little curvature on it and delete all
Yeah.
these curves. Annoying. Alright, so what you have is the two surfaces you do need to produce this. You do want a flat up the top there, but you want a little bit curved on the bottom. So let's have a look at
Yeah.
the side view. Let's get an arc with the handle, and let's draw between this point and that point, and give it a little bit of curvature like that, and then
Yeah.
the same thing down here, and give it a little bit of curvature like that.
Yeah.
Alright, so we're going to do a sweep 2.
Yeah.
We're going to do a sweep 2 from this rail to this rail,
Yeah.
from the edge of this curve to this curve
Yeah.
to the edge of this curve.
Yeah.
Okay, bring this in so everyone can see it together.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've solved the problem of getting the curvature at the bottom. We're going to do the same thing at the top. We're going to do a sweep 2 from you to you.
Yeah.
In this time, we're going to use a point. So we're going to start with a point. We're going to start at that point. Okay. Then we're going to go to the sweep shape here. And then we're going to go to another point. So we select point in the command line to this point here. Okay.
Got it.
And so now you have everything you needed. You've got the shape you wanted to sweep in there. You've got the curvature that you wanted here. We can join all these guys up.
Yeah.
I have a suspicion that that funny little point up at the top is going to bite our bums in a minute. Pretty much okay, I think. Alright, so if you wanted to, you can now go a little bit further. You can play with it, give it a bit of a fillet, like a variable fillet to break the corner even more. I suspect this is where you're going to see this thing break. Alright. Fillet edge. I want to go 0.5, but I want a variable one, so I'm going to click here.
Yeah.
I'm going to click here.
Yeah.
And press enter. Up at the top here, I want 0. I don't want any fillet there. I only want the fillet to come down at the bottom. I'm repeating this because it was a little bit confusing in the last lesson, right?
Yeah.
So again there, and again there.
Okay.
So we're going from no fillet to a 0.5 millimeter fillet back to a full fillet. Except that we only had 2 fillet points. You can see at the bottom here we've got nothing. All right?
Yeah,
so we want to add a handle. Want to add a handle down the bottom here, and want to add another handle down the bottom here. Okay.
Okay.
And so now when we press enter, we've got our fillet going from nothing to 0.5 back to nothing.
Got it.
On both ends.
Yeah.
All right. So now let's show everything we had out before. So now you got your stone, you got your bezel, you got your shank.
Got it.
Now the thing that broke for you yesterday. Oh goodness me, I'd really like to not see this over here. I'd like this bottom to have pinched in. So when we did this before, we said, okay, let's hide that again.
Yeah.
We said you can try to super select. Sometimes you get away with it, sometimes you won't. You can try to super select this surface here. Control Shift U. Control Shift U.
Yes.
I don't think that's going to work. We can try. And you can try to scale them together.
Yes.
Sometimes you get lucky, like now.
Yeah.
Oh no, we didn't get lucky. See that? So I'm going to go Control Z. We need to super select even the edge. Yes. So Control Shift U and U and the edge of U. Oh wow, that edge. No, even that's not going to work. All right, so I'm going to stop right there. So now you go to Cage Edit, or you go backwards, Control Z, and you bring this side view we had. So let's go all the way back again before we did our booleans. All right.
Okay.
So at this point, remember that curve we had here? You'd have to go back into the curve, wireframe, find that curve. Where are you? And so we had the problem. We had the problem here. So you'd have to taper those 2 points back in towards each other. So that we're up a little bit tighter up at the top. Why have I got 2 curves over each other here? What's going on? Delete one of them. All right. So the problem we had was up at the top here. We're going to grab these points. We're going to scale them towards each other and come in a little bit sharper at the top because we want to come into the bezel. Is this making sense to you this time around?
Yes.
Okay. So you see that process. We had to go backwards now. Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, and then redo and redo and redo.
Yes.
Now you understand the difference between a parametric modeler and Rhino.
Yeah.
Rhino's history sucks. All right, just deal with it. But for organic stuff, it works. It works good enough. All right.
Yes.
So redo everything again. Boolean intersection, U to U, and Boolean intersection, U, then U. Right?
Yes.
Then let's show our collet. Just make sure we're good. Yep.
Yeah.
So this time we're happy.
Better.
All right. But
Yes.
you had to go backwards for that.
Yeah.
You have to go undo, undo, undo. You have to
Yeah.
jump through hoops to save stuff on layers. You have to. There are some downsides to using this kind of modeler because now you're going to have to redo all your fillets. You're going to have to. It's a pain, but you know what? It's not that bad. For jewelry, the fact of it is, you just simply it's not that complicated. All right.
Yeah.
For engineering things, huge problem. If you change the size of one gear,
Yeah.
all the gears that connect to that gear, they have to change size, and then the
Every-
final thing that goes out to the wheel, it's changed size, and
Yeah.
so that's the difference between the two kinds of modelers.
Okay.
In jewelry, really, we make baubles for rich people, so
Not
you know,
very
just
complicated.
it's not complicated. All right, and generally speaking, you're going to make one item, and that's it. There are parametric modelers, including one in Rhino. In Rhino, I'm going to just briefly touch on this. I did put one in. I did put a chat about this in the cam chat.
Yeah.
You got a question?
No.
All right. So Rhino's version of a parametric modeler is this. You can, same as the command line, you can say I want a circle. All right. You can put it on a circle. You can say that I want to give it a size, so 5.5. You connect a slider to that, and so similar to a solid modeler, you can now change the size of the circle. You see it changing in the screen?
Yes.
And you can say I want to offset that circle. In this case, a circle would be for a bezel maybe. So you want to offset the circle, offset curve. So this is the curve I want to offset. I want to offset it by, I don't know, if 2 millimeters is going to be my median. So I'm going to take that and put that in the distance. And so now you can see I can change the offset of the curve, but as I change the curve, the offset moves with it the way it's supposed to.
Yes.
All right. I can do an extrusion. This is proper parametric modeling, the same as you saw inside here.
Okay.
So this has just got a nice, neat direction of commands.
Yes.
In Rhino, it's got these kind of spaghetti balls that you can come back and edit live. All right. So I'm going to close that for now.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, for design, you don't use this. Generally speaking, all right.
Yeah.
There are instances if you're making a range of jewelry where you have to change finger sizes, you might use it. Generally speaking, you don't use it. All right. So I'm going to finish up this ring for you. Let's do it again. This time, oops. All right. Let's show our collet. What do we need to do here? I want to do a fillet. I can do a variable fillet again. I don't want to go through all the trouble we went through to explode and create curves and sweeps, so I'm just going to do a fillet.
Yeah.
Fillet edge, I'm going to say that I want it to about 0.8.
Yeah.
And I want to do this edge and this edge.
Yeah.
Well, I've got 0.2. That's weird.
0.25.
Yeah, weird.
Wow.
Strange. Right. Anyway, so let's hide this. Let's unlock that and hide it. All right, let's do the fillet edge command again. So fillet edge, U and U. Radius is 0.8. Press enter. Weird. So Rhino's having a bad day. Anyway, we don't really care. We want this to be 0. We want this to be 0. We want this to be 0, and we want this to be 0. All right, then we're going to come insert some handles at the bottom. So we're going to add a handle here, and we're going to add a handle on that quad. I'm going to press enter and enter. And Rhino did what Rhino does. It had a bad day, so it's got to do with this point up the top here. Anyway, so we can fix that. We can do a loft between this edge and this edge. Okay.
Yeah.
So we got that back, and then we want to do the same things we did before. We're going to do a fillet. This time we can't go as far because you can see that it's 0.8. If I do a fillet here, I'm going to go into the other fillet, which is also a weak point of Rhino. So we're going to do another fillet edge. Okay, I think that this is going to be about 0.3 this time. Okay, so I'm going to grab that edge and this edge, and same deal. the top here, we're going to go 0. At the top here, we're going to go 0, 0, 0. We're going to add some handles at the bottom.
Yeah.
There and there, and we're going to press enter. Alright,
Okay.
so now we can join those items back up.
Yeah.
Okay, we can show our collet.
Yeah.
Alright, you can see that the collet is not good here. So
Yeah.
in our side view, we want to cut that off. So I'm going to introduce a new little command. It's kind of useful sometimes and kind of not useful sometimes. Alright, I'm going to super select here. I'm going to hide you.
Yeah.
Can I super select? Cannot. F10. Turn on the edit points. Grab view. I just want to pull them down. Alright, let's show the shank. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to cut off this section so they match.
Yeah.
Alright, so I'm going to draw an arc.
Yes.
From 0, I'm going to kind of go to the shank over there. I'm going to come out to there. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to draw a line.
Where is the arc?
It's in there. Need to trust it.
Oh, okay. Okay, so
Invert, hide. Okay, just to make it easier for you to see what we're doing there. So we're going to snap to that end, and we're going to create a little closed curve. So we're going to join these guys together. All right. So the way that you would do this is you would, generally speaking, let's show everything. You would extrude this, and then you would do a Boolean difference. Now, it's a faster way to do that. You can use the wire cut command. All right. So in the view, you want to cut. You run a command called wire cut. Literally, all it's doing in the background is extruding this guy. So that's the curve. What's the object we want to cut? We want to cut that. All right. And press enter and enter. Okay. What it did in the background is it extruded this, and then it did a Boolean difference between this and this. The shortcut command is called wire cut.
Why?
Really fast. Sometimes you just want to punch a hole through something. You just want to quickly cut through here. You can quickly draw a curve, and you can do a wire cut.
Okay.
Oh, this went really poorly for me. Why didn't you tell me? All right. Anyway, so let's explode this. Let's take that and chuck it. My bad. All right. Let's do the loft more carefully. I did a loft from this edge to that inside edge instead of from this edge to this edge. So I'm going to do a loft this time a little bit more carefully from this edge to this edge. There we go. My bad. All right, join. All right, now a little bit about rendering. You don't have a lot of it saying it's unable to join surfaces or poly surfaces, saying we've got a problem here. It'll be that sharp end there. All right, so we can finish this up. There's a better way to fix this. We've got to go Control Z and make sure we don't have a pitch over there. But for now, I'm just going to group these items so we can render. All right, so a couple of rules about rendering is a ring looks unnatural. No ring stands up on its end like that. You take your ring off and you try stand it up on its end on purpose. Take a ring off your finger and try and make it stand like that.
No.
It's going to fucking fall over, all right?
Okay.
So, there are a couple of schools of thoughts on this. Some people, they just do this and they go, oh, there's a ring. Yeah. It depends on who you're showing it to. But if you're going to do proper rendering, generally speaking, you'd like to have the ring laying in a natural kind of position. I'm going to put this on a layer so that we can do it. So change object layer, I'm going to call that gem. All right. Collet, change object layer, and call it collet. And this one I'm going to put on that layer, change object layer, I'm going to call that shank.
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, so that means I can get rid of the 2 layers I don't need. This is just housekeeping. I hate to have a bunch of layers that aren't used. Alright, so we can group these items because we can access their layers later. So I'm going to group them together, so when I move them, they move together. Give yourself a plane to render on. Alright, so I'm going to draw a plane out here, like that. Alright, move the plane backwards, something like that. I'm going to rebuild the plane to have a few more points. Whatever that is, seems fine. Alright. Actually, it was the wrong way around, so Control Z and redo, and I need 7 in that direction. Okay. And what I want to do is turn on the edit points for that plane, and we're going to create an infinite plane in the background so that we can't look over the edge of the plane.
Yeah.
Right. And we're going to move it so that our ring or either move the ring up or move the plane down, doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to move the ring up.
Yeah.
We're going to get our render ready to see the component like this, and we're going to start applying some materials to render it out.
Yeah.
Except for, like I said, that doesn't look natural. So I would take
Yeah.
the ring, I would move it down, have a look at where you're going through. Okay. Rotate from that point to that point, hold shift, get it more or less straight, and then pick it back up so it's just touching. When things are done like this, they tend to look a lot more natural. All right.
Yeah.
And when they look more natural, you can sell to the user that they're actually seeing a thing.
Yeah.
Like that, make it come touch the background like that. All right. So that's
Yeah.
laying on the surface there. If you want to have a few more views of the item, just take the item and just put it sideways on the plane somewhere else, and you can maybe put an angle out like that. You can even make the two rings look like they're resting on top of each other. Right?
Okay.
So that's your viewport. If you wanted, I don't know, props in the background or a company name or something, I'm just going to draw a cube. Sorry, it's not a cube. It's called a box in Rhino. We use too many applications. Okay, so now we've got a thing like that. It's this big, and then maybe you've got your name on it, and let's fillet all the edges of it. Fillet all the edges of you guys. Where can I see this thing that I'm not going to grab something else? And break some edges on it, and maybe you've got a name on there, and maybe you've got a prop like a flower or something you're sticking in the background. Okay, so prepare all your items so that you're ready to render. You're going to go to your library. All right, so let's say that's the view I want over there.
Yeah.
You can see that I actually want this view, but this thing's not working out for me, so I'm going to go in my top view, turn on the edit points for that, and move these front ones out a little bit. Alright, so I'm going to grab all these ones and give myself a bit more space in the front here. And so now when I zoom in, I'm not looking over the edge. So I want, that's my setup. I want to render like this. I'm happy like this. So I'm going to move my layer menu out here. Alright, and I'm going to go to my library of components. I'm going to go to my metals. I'm going to look for gems first. By default, for some reason, Rhino doesn't come out with a diamond, but there is a diamond in there. You'd imagine that you'd find it under glass, but it's not.
Okay.
Right? So for now, let's just concentrate on the metals. I'll show you how to add a gem in a second. We're going to go to metals. I'm going to go to polished metals. I'm going to go yellow. Do I want yellow gold? Yeah, I'm going to put yellow gold on my blue layer. All right?
Okay.
If I go to render viewport, which I guess I should have done in the first place.
Okay.
All right, and then I want to make the bezels white gold. So I've got polished stainless, polished steel, polished silver. I think it's going to work for that. So there's my collets.
Yes.
They're done. I've got a prop in the background, which I'm going to make anodized. I'm going to drag and drop it straight onto the prop. And maybe you had a sticker on there. And now we need a ground plane. So we're going to go to our... what have we got? Ceramics, environment, glass, metal, paint, organic. What is organic? I haven't been in organic in a while. Leather. Leather. Oh, we got leather. Let's drag and drop it on our ground plane. That looks really rubbishy. Let's have a look. You can see when the actual render comes up. See if it's going to make a difference, because it puts...
Okay.
So here we're just doing a preview render.
Yeah.
This is the actual render, but this is a very slow viewport.
Okay.
So if you want to preview what a material is going to look like, you do it here.
Yeah, okay.
Right? So I'm going to quickly stick that in there. Is that any better? I don't know. You can run around picking whatever you like. We've got some flowers here. What have we got? Flowers, yellow lilies, whatever. All right. No. So this over here is a UV mapping issue. So let's just find one that's got a nice UV map out of the box. And then we can change the UV mapping, because we're going to have to do it for the stones anyway. All right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got a ground plane. I'm going to go back to the leather, I think, because I like the leather. Mulch? What is mulch? Literally mulch? Far out. Anyway, so for the stones, I'm going to select the gems.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to properties. I'm going to go to the material properties.
Material.
Okay. I'm going to go gem, select items. So you can see that I've got the ground plane selected. I'm going to go cell, none. I don't want to select anything.
Okay,
all right.
so no.
I do want to select the gems now, so I'm going to go to the gem layer. I'm going to go select objects.
Select
Alright.
object.
Now in the material, it's saying use layer material. There is no material on it basically,
Yeah.
right? So we're going to go down here.
Yeah.
We're going to go use a new material.
Use
We're going to
new
pick from the gem library,
Oh,
and we're going
okay.
to select diamond. Alright,
Oh,
for
okay.
these, and you can kind of see that it's trying to emulate it for you there. I'm going to go back out and sell none. Okay.
Okay.
And we're still in ray traced. It's a shitty diamond because this is Rhino, so I don't render in Rhino. I render, generally speaking, I'm going to render in Blender for this kind of stuff. But you can get a preview of what you want to see. If you let the cycles render run for long enough, you're going to get these diamonds looking a lot nicer. But you can see already, you can see the reflection in that background there.
Okay,
Let's change this ground plane because it's driving me mad. Let's go back to the leather. I like the leather, or dark leather. Okay, something like that. I'm not entirely sure what's happening over here. Anyhow, so you can set up your item for the render. Let's say you want like this, you want to show the customer like that. So the other nice thing with doing a render, I'm sorry that this is getting a bit complicated, but you want to change your camera focal point. Alright, so I'm going to go sell none again. We want to focus on this, but we want the stuff in the background to be a little bit out of focus, because with a real camera that's what happens. Alright? So let's do this there. So we want this to be in focus here, set up our plane there, and we want this area to be in focus, but everything else not. So I'm going to highlight that item, the ring.
Yes.
Actually, I'm going to create a new point. So sell none.
Sorry, didn't.
Sell none.
Yeah.
I want to select nothing, and I want to add a point. I want to snap that point somewhere. I've got a snap, and I go to, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use vertex and snap it on the stone here somewhere on the vertex. Alright, so that little point over there is what I want to focus on. Okay, so I'm going to go to the viewport. I've got the viewport highlighted. I want to have a look at its properties. I've got a camera, target, wallpaper, distance to target, this one here, focal blur. Okay, so I do want a focal blur. I want to focus on this point. There it is. Okay, there. Okay. And can you see that this is now in focus and the back blurs away? So we can change that strength of it. All right, so you can change your aperture. Just keep going. I can't remember which direction you've got to go in. One way makes it worse, one way we're going worse, so let's go the other way. Do you want to make the background just out of focus?
Yeah,
we
got it.
Keep going in this direction a little bit. See? A little bit more.
Yes.
So if you take a photo with your phone, you'll notice that the thing in the front is okay, and then the rest is a little bit blurred. So you keep doing this until you get the perfect look you want, and when you're ready, you actually run the render command. Whoops, I'm reading on the wrong one. Run render. It's going to pop open this window for you.
Yeah.
And it's going to give you a couple of tools for rendering. So the tools for rendering, you've got some post effects. You can add tools in here. You can say that I want to bloom, glow, add some depth of field, add a little bit of fog, show the curves, show the surfaces and the ISO edges. You tick that on, see that you can now render and show the curves. So there's a lot of little tricks in here. For now, play around in your live viewport. All right, and I'll take you through the limitations of Rhino's built-in rendering. We're going to look at a couple of different render engines like V-Ray, which is in the older matrices, and my personal preference, which is to go to Blender. All right, because rendering in Rhino just sucks like really badly. All right, it's no good. I hope that they fix it soon. We'll get it to the level of Blender. But for now, there are options, and in our paid software like Matrix Gold, etc., there's better options.
Yes.
All right, but for now, this is what you have in Rhino. You can play around with it a little bit and see how you go. Okay?
Thank you.
All right.
Can we learn that